समस्त लोक सुखिनो भवन्तु।
समस्त लोका सुखिनो भवन्तु।
समस्त लोक सुखिनो भवन्तु।
समस्त लोका सुखिनो भवन्तु।
समस्त लोक सुखिनो भवन्तु।
समस्त लोका सुखिनो भवन्तु।
शांति शांति शांति।
स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
गणानां त्वा गणपतिगुं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमम् ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनशृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् प्रणो देवी सरस्वती वाजेभिर्वाजिनीवती धीनामवित्रयवतु गणेशाय नमः सरस्वत्यै नमः श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ नमो भगवते रुद्राय ॐ नमस्ते रुद्रमन्यव उतोत इषवे नमः नमस्ते अस्तु धन्वने बाहुभ्यामुत ते नमः या तरिषु शिवतमा शिवं बभूवते धनुः शिवा शरव्या तवतया नो रुद्रमृडया या ते रुद्रशिवा तनूरघोरा पापकाशिनी तया नस्तनुभाषन्तमया गिरिशन्ताभिचाकशीः यामिषुं गिरिशन्तहस्ते बिभर्ष्यस्तवे शिवां गिरित्रतां कुरु माहि गुंसि पुरुषं जगत् शिवेन वचसा त्वा गिरिशाच्चावदामसि यथा नः सर्वमिज्जगदयक्ष्मगुं सुमना असत् अद्य वोचदधिवक्ता प्रथमो दैव्योऽभिषक् अयिगुश्च सर्वान् जम्भयन् सर्वाश्च यातु धान्यः असौ यस्ताम्रो अरुण उत बभ्रुः सुमङ्गलः ये चेमागुं रुद्रा अभितो दिक्षु श्रिता सहस्रशो वैशागुं हेडयेमहे असौ यो वसर्पति नीलग्रीवो विलोहितः उतैनं गोपा अदृशन्नदृशन्वदहार्यः उतैनं विश्वाभूतानि सदृष्टो मृडयातिनः नमो अस्तु नीलग्रीवाय सहस्राक्षाय मीडुषे अथो ये अस्य सत्त्वानोऽहं तेभ्यो करन्नमः प्रमुञ्च धन्वनस्त्वमुभयोरार्त्नियोर्ज्याम् यास्य ते हस्त इषव पराता भगवो वप अवतत्यदनुस्त्वगुं सहस्राक्षशतेषु दे निशीर्य शल्यानां मुखा शिवो नः सुमना भव विद्यं धनुः कपर्दिनो विशल्यो बाणवागुम् उत अनेशन्नस्येषव आबुरस्य निषङ्गतिः या ते हेतिर्मीडुष्टमहस्ते बभूवते धनुः तयास्मान् विश्वतस्त्वमयक्ष्मया परिभुजा नमस्ते अस्त्वायुधाय नातताय धृष्णवे उभाभ्यामुत ते नमो बाहुभ्यां तव धन्वने परिते धन्वनो हेतिरस्मान् वृणक्तु विश्वतः अथो य इषुदिस्तवारे अस्मन्निदेहितम् नमस्ते अस्तु भगवन् विश्वेश्वराय महादेवाय त्र्यम्बकाय त्रिपुरान्तकाय त्रिगाग्निकालाय कालाग्निरुद्राय नीलकण्ठाय मृत्युञ्जयाय सर्वेश्वराय सदाशिवाय श्रीमन्महादेवाय नमः। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
प्रथम वंदना गणनाथा प्रथम वंदना गणनाथा प्रथम वंदना गणनाथा प्रथम वंदना तुम हो अनाथ नाथ भगवान हो अनाथ नाथ भगवान तुम हो अनाथ नाथ भगवान तुम हो अनाथ नाथ भगवान ओ साई मेरे प्राण भक्त सखा भगवान दीन सखा सखा दीन सखा कृपा करो भगवान, साईं कृपा करो भगवान। नंदलाला दया करो भगवान, नंदलाला दया करो भगवान। भवसागर से पार उतारो, भवसागर से पार उतारो, दया करो भगवान, दया करो भगवान, कृपा करो भगवान, कृपा करो भगवान। तुम्हारी शरण बिन अनाथ है हम, तुम्हारी शरण बिन अनाथ है हम, दया करो भगवान, दया करो भगवान, कृपा करो भगवान, साईं कृपा करो भगवान, साईं कृपा करो भगवान। नंदलाला नंदलाला दया करो भगवान। देवी जग जननी साई माता, जग जननी साई माता, जग जननी साई माता, जग जननी साई माता। प्रणव स्वरूपिणी राणेश्वरी, प्रणव स्वरूपिणी राणेश्वरी, प्रणव स्वरूपिणी प्राणेश्वरी, प्रणव स्वरूपिणी प्राणेश्वरी, जग जननी साई माता, जग जननी साई माता। ज्ञान करुणामयी सत्य साईश्वरी
करुणामयी सत्य साईश्वरी
करुणामयी सत्य साईश्वरी
करुणामयी सत्य साईश्वरी
देवी जगजननी साई माता प्रणव स्वरूपिणी प्राणेश्वरी देवी जगजननी साई माता ज्ञान प्रदायिनी ज्ञानेश्वरी त्रिपुर सुंदरी दाक्षायणी भगवती भारती नारायणी जगदीश्वरी जगन्मोहिनी करुणामयी सत्य साईश्वरी कौसल्यात्मज रामचरण कौसल्यात्मज रामचरण वैदेही प्रिय रामचरण वैदेही प्रिय रामचरण मारुति सेवित रामचरण हनुमत सेवित रामचरण भरताचित श्री रामचरण भरताचित श्री रामचरण अहल्योद्धारक रामचरण अहल्योद्धारक रामचरण प्रशांति निकेतन रामचरण प्रशांति निकेतन रामचरण रामचरण सदा भजो श्री रामचरण सदा भजो कौसल्यात्मज रामचरण वैदेही प्रिय रामचरण हनुमत सेवित रामचरण भरताचित श्री रामचरण अहल्योद्धारक रामचरण प्रशांति निकेतन रामचरण रामचरण सदा भजो साई रामचरण सदा भजो कौसल्यात्मज रामचरण
ईश्वर अल्लाह तेरे नाम साईं तेरे नाम
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 सर्वधर्म प्रिय साईं राम सत्य साईं राम
धर्म प्रिय साईं राम सत्य साईं राम
सर्वधर्म गोविंद साई गोपाल साई नानक साई
गोविंद साई गोपाल साई नानक साई
सर्वधर्म प्रिय साई राम सच्चे साई राम
साई राम सच्चे साई राम
सर्वधर्म प्रिय साई राम सच्चे साई राम
साई राम सच्चे साई राम
ईश्वर अल्लाह तेरे नाम साई तेरे नाम
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
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 हरि ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
ॐ नमः शिवाय ॐ नमो नारायणाय
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 ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
हरि हरि ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
हरि ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
हरि ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
ॐ नमो भगवते Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
There's another interesting incident which I would like to tell all of you. This was when I was taking my philosophy, educational philosophy class. And it so happened that 2-3 students, they were ones who would come out with various types of questions to, I don't know whether to test my knowledge, or they were genuine questions which they wanted to be answered. So what happened, one girl suddenly when I was teaching philosophy, she stood up, she said, "Ma'am, I have a doubt." I said, "Okay, what is it?" She said, "Ma'am, Swami tells us that, what is this marriage? First 2 legs, then 4 legs, then 6 legs, and attachment, all these things. But when we ask Swami, now we have completed this course, what should we do? He says, get married. Then isn't he contradicting himself?" This was one question she asked, and another girl got up and she asked us something similar related to mother-in-law and mother-in-love. "Ma'am, so many things are happening. In every case, we find mother-in-laws are like this. Swami says you should love your mother-in-law or call it mother-in-love and not mother-in-law. So how is it possible?" I, on my own way, whatever little knowledge I had, I started answering them that, see, Swami is not against marriage, but marriage is an institution. He's trying to tell us that no, marriage is not everything. This is attachment. When he says 2 legs is your 2 legs. Another 2 legs is when you get married, your husband's. And this is how it goes. He says this is how attachment happens. And we meet people at different phases in our life. They are not with us right from the beginning. That is Swami's way of explaining. He has never said I am not in favor of marriage. And whatever is good for whichever person, Swami gives them guidance accordingly. They were not convinced. In the meantime, in my first batch, I had also girls who were older to me in age. And one was Mrs. Arati Srivastav. She was already married. And she had her own version of saying something. So what happened? I realized that the class I was teaching in philosophy has converted into a discussion class on a different topic. And then I said, no, this is not right, because I'm teaching philosophy. Let me bring them back. So I told them, girls, listen, if you're not satisfied, let us leave it to Bhagwan. Let us leave this topic to Bhagwan and let us continue with what we were discussing in the classroom. And it so happened, in the evening when we went inside Trei Vrindavan for the darshan, those days Swami was in Vrindavan. So Swami, when he came down, he just smiled at me, a very, mischievous smile he gave me. And he went and sat on the jhula. And then normal question, normally Swami says, Aim Samachar. And he started with Aim Samachar, and he gestured towards Professor K.K. Sharma, who was teaching philosophy. Like, this paper was shared by me and by him. So he asked him, he said, Tum kya padhata? What are you teaching? He said, philosophy. Full loss. Full loss, Swami said, full loss. And then he said, do you know what is philosophy? He said, yes, Swami, it is darshanas. So there was a conversation between him and Swami on what is darshanas, what is philosophy. And from there, Swami started answering all the questions which girls had asked me in the class. One after the other on marriage, whether one should get married or no, what type of attachment, how it is, whatever Swami's philosophy was, Swami explained everything there. After Aarti, when Swami was going back, he again smiled at me. When he came, he smiled. And while going back also, he smiled at me to give me a hint that, see, I have answered the questions. That shows his omnipresence. In the previous incident, I had mentioned about the cat, that the cat had come and taken the prasad. The next day, Swami told me, I came, you were teaching in the class. You have not seen me, I have seen you. In this incident also, Swami made it very clear that he knows what is happening in the classroom, whether teaching is going on, how teaching is going on, he is aware of everything. So what happened when we came back from Trei Darshan, as soon as we reached our own building, the girls surrounded me. They said, ma'am, when did you send the questions to Swami? Did you send the questions to Swami? I said, no, I was with all of you. I mean, I have not sent any question to Swami. Then I told them, I said, see, girls, on the one hand, you say that Swami is God, Swami is omnipresent, omnipotent, all that, and now you are doubting. You are doubting Swami when he has answered your question. Did I not tell you in the class that, okay, if you are not satisfied, let us leave it to Bhagwan. He will answer your questions, and he has answered those questions. So that was something, like Swami telling us that he is present, he knows everything, he knows what is going on. And the only thing is we should have faith and trust in him. This was something very, very interesting. After that, girls did not question anything. They did not question anything that Swami had mentioned in his discourses. I told them, I said, you will get your own answers. Even if I tell you something, I will tell you from my point of view. But what exactly Bhagwan is trying to say or what he's trying to mean, that you will get answer when you start connecting yourself with him. One day it so happened, a Sevadal came with a basket full of bananas. And that was a very odd time. Normally around 11:30 or so he came and saying that these bananas Swami has sent. I said, why now? He said, Swami is leaving. I said, leaving where? He said, he's leaving for Puttaparthi. And I mean, we didn't know about it. So I immediately called all the girls. I told the girls, come quickly, let us go to Trivrindavam. It seems Swami is going to leave very soon for Prashanti Nilayam, Puttaparthi. So we all rushed inside Trivrindavan. Now, Trivrindavan, the lady in charge was again very strict. She first tried to, stop us to stay outside the gate, because inside boys were already standing. Boys were there, teachers were there, Swami's car was ready. And I didn't want to be outside, so I was just praying hard to Swami, Swami, please, we want to come inside. And so we stood. I did not pay much heed to what she was saying. I just, with the girls, we all stood towards the lady side. That ramp is there to go for the interview room. We stood there. And I was praying very hard, Swami, after you go, she will scold me. Why did you come inside with girls? Swami, please, Swami, see that she doesn't say anything. And Swami heard my prayers. After some time, suddenly I heard Swami's voice, banana Mila, did you get the bananas? And I looked up, and through the window, Swami was talking to me. Everybody could hear Swami's voice. The lady who was in charge, even she could see Swami talking to me. And then Bhagwan, that day, after speaking to me through the window, he did not come out of Trivrindavan from the main gate. He came from the ladies' side where he takes people for interview through their tram. He came towards us, he spoke to me, and then he went towards the gents' side, to the boys, and then sat in the car. So that was another thing, that if you pray sincerely to God, to Bhagavan, he sees that he takes care of you. After that, auntie did not say anything to me. She just smiled, and Swami very lovingly asked, see, I have sent bananas, distribute to everybody, eat bananas, take care of yourself. I'll come back soon, and follow all the regulations, rules that he had personally told me, that is not to come out when he is not there. Everything will be provided inside. Just, in few words, he said all this, and then he went towards the gents' side and sat in the car, took Aarti, and left for Prashanti Nilayam. So this is how, when you pray sincerely, and when you do it from the heart, he responds. Whoever thought that Swami would talk through the window, which I don't think he had done earlier with anybody, but he did speak. He just opened his window, and from there he's asking me whether we have got the bananas that were sent through the Sevadal. So this is in 1986 I joined. 87, I was sitting with my papers, my synopsis, with my PhD topic. So before joining the institution, as I had mentioned, I was working in Sambalpur college. Swami had asked me to go resign and come, but when I was working there, I had already registered myself for PhD in Pune University under a professor. And when I was interviewed here for this position, Dr. Saraf told me, you see, it's not easy. We will not be able to send you for your research work to Pune. So why don't you change your topic? You know, I had already given a seminar over there, and suddenly in the interview, I have asked to change my topic. Professor Saraf suggested, he said, see, nowadays, education in human values is the upcoming topic. So why don't you do your research in it? I said, sir, I have no material. Where are the books? If it is a new topic which is coming up, how will I do? He said, don't worry, we will make some arrangement. But as of now, what I can see is we may not be able to send you to go and meet your guide for your research work too often. You will not be able to go. So it's better you give up that topic and you register yourself here in this institute. So I just kept quiet. I just kept quiet and I was wondering what to do. But then I did write a letter to my guide saying that I'm extremely sorry. I would not be able to continue. And then Dr. Saraf asked my head of the department, Professor A.S. Sethi, to think of few, titles which could be taken up for the research work. So I had prepared my synopsis with the help of Professor Sethi, and I sat for Bhagwan's blessings. Swami came from Trivrindavan straight. He came to me and he said, what is this? I said, Swami, synopsis PhD. For PhD, I have written synopsis. He said, Aim Prayojan, what is the use of it? Then I told him, I said, no, Swami, as per UGC rules and norms, if we are teaching in higher education, we need to do PhD. He said, is it? Okay, karo, 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 which means do it, do it, do it. 3 times he blessed my synopsis saying, do it, do it, do it. And he took letters from girls and moved forward towards the public Sairam shed. Now the problem was synopsis is written, but there's not much of material. And I was really, really worried. How will I proceed with this when in library there are no books on human values? How to go about it? And one night I get a dream. I see Swami standing outside his kitchen door, which is in Prashanti Nilayam. Prashanti Nilayam Mandir, backside where Krishna's idol is there, you have a door that is supposed to be Swami's kitchen, and Swami has opened that door and he's got a pile of books in his hand and he's calling me. So this was the dream I got, and I got up with that dream. That same morning, Professor Saraf called me. He said, come and meet me. I have something to give you. So when I went and met him in his office, he had a pile of books on the table and he said, these books have just arrived from Delhi. I had asked a few people, so they have sent these books. You go and read, study these books for your topic. I mean, this is how Swami, again, through the dream, gave me the vision that I will get material, I'll be able to do it, not to worry, not to think too much about it. And I do get the books physically in my hand after the dream. And then, of course, I started sincerely working on it. That was summer of 1988, and we had already shifted to the Anantapur campus. So I started working on it for nearly 2 months. I was the only single teacher there because male teachers were not allowed to come to women's campus, and both the professors had to go back to their own institution because they were on deputation. And then later on, another colleague of mine joined, and for 2 months, I used to, take classes in the morning, continuously 3 hours, 4 hours, and afternoon set up the library in the department. Whatever books or furniture that was transferred from the Whitefield campus to Anantapur, I had to arrange all that in the new building which had come up. And Swami, while we were leaving Vrindavan, again, it so happened, Swami normally gives money to boys when they go home during vacation. So a thought just flashed in my mind that, Swami, you give money only to boys. What about us? Even we are your students and your teachers. Swami sent word for us for interview, and this was on 8th of April, 8th April 1988. Before we left Vrindavan, Swami called us for an interview, and after talking to us, he said, see, girls should not go empty hand from mother's house. And he had a bundle of 50 rupee notes in his hand, and to each one of us he gave two 250 rupees notes, that is 100 rupees. And he said, take, this is my blessings, and you are now leaving your mother's house, though you are going to settle in Anantapur, but you take this. So, you know, that small desire or thought which came up to my mind, that Swami, you are giving only to boys, what about us? You see, Swami has answered that prayer also, and those 2 notes I still have. I had kept them safe in the locker. So we were shifted. So when we shifted, we carried with us some of the furniture that was given to us in the Whitefield, in that building. One was a big table, and then around 70 or 80 students' chairs, wooden chairs, were also transferred to the Anantapur campus. And Swami had told me that go settle there, I will come and bless again. So what happened when there we had only the chairs and this one big table. There was no other furniture. And we knew that Swami is going to come. The day was fixed. Principal Mrs. Hemlata told us that Swami will be coming. So all of us were making arrangements and cleaning our own departments and setting up. But when it came to our department, we had just one table and maybe 1 or 2 almiras which we had bought at Whitefield, and equipments, but there were no cupboards, nothing as such. The classrooms were there. So what I did, I arranged everything on the floor. Whatever charts were made or whatever projects were done by girls, all that was spread in different sections within the classroom only. So when Swami came, he stood at the door and he said, storeroom? Then I said, no, Swami, this is classroom. He says, how you have kept it? And at that point, I told him, Swami, there's no table, no furniture, Swami. We are just settling down. Very softly, I told him, because I couldn't say that nothing is there. And Swami immediately turned to Yoga Rao and to the principal, and he said, no, immediately, place order, whatever is required, place order. And he saw to it, because he said, go and settle down there. I'll come and again establish you properly over there. Because now that we were here in Whitefield and the proximity of Bhagwan was so close that we didn't want to go anywhere else. But then we were here because the building over in Anantapur was not complete. Now the building is complete. We knew we had to go, and Swami wanted us to be free in women's campus, because here we were just confined in within the 4 walls of the building. So order was placed for tables, chairs, whatever requirement was there for the department to be set up properly. All that local people were called, quotations were taken, all that thing in a proper process it happened, and then we had furniture for everything. And Swami came, sat in the department. When we were going to offer Arati, I had taken lot of camphor. You know, when Swami saw, and we gave the matchbox to Swami to light the camphor so that we could take Arati. Swami said, hey, why so much? He took away all the camphor, just had 2 or 3 pieces of camphor in it, and he said, yes, now you light. Don't put this whole thing into it. We took Aarti. Swami blessed the girls. Again here in the interview, because B.Ed those days was, if I can say, 10 months, because 1.5 months was summer vacation and few holidays in between. So this, though 1 year course, but actually the classes went only up to 10 months we had classes. And it was a rigorous program, very rigorous program, because in B.Ed, apart from the general papers that are taught, students have internship where they have to go to the school and teach classes, and we teacher educators had to sit in their class, observe their classes, and give them feedback. So every girl had to take 2 classes per day, one in each methodology, because they had to opt for 2 methodologies. So each girl had to take 2 classes and had to do 2 observations of the peer group. So the timetable would be prepared in such a way that she had 1 class, say in the morning, 1 class in the afternoon. In between times, she had to take 2 observations of girls of either her own subject or even of the other subject girls, so that they have an idea how the teaching goes on in different methodologies. So lot of work. They had to write lesson plan, and girls were not allowed to enter the class without the lesson plan. That was the criteria. And for practice teaching, Bhagwan had said only primary school is the model school. So even from Whitefield, we used to come here to Prashanti Nilayam for our practice teaching classes or the internship. And practice teaching we had for 30 days in 1 year, and I had divided it into 2 phases, that is in semester 1 15 days, semester 2 15 days, so that twice we would come to Prashanti Nilayam, stay here and do the teaching in primary school. Now the first batch of girls, 38 students were there, and to accommodate all the 38 students in the primary school, it was very difficult. We found it difficult because there was a lot of repetition. Topics are limited and girls are more, so to teach in the same class same topic again and again was, for the students it is boring also. So I requested Bhagwan in Darshan line. I said, Swami, can we take classes in Ishwaramba school? Those days Ishwaramba was a Telugu medium school, and so we could not take any other subject there except English, because English is to be taught in English. So Bhagwan said, no, boys are very big and girls will not go and teach there, only primary school. Primary school, you somehow adjust, no Ishwarama school. We said, Swami, only English, one subject. No, it was a big no, and Swami walked away. So we tried to adjust, because B.Ed we should take classes from 6th onwards. But then to accommodate these girls, we thought that the standard is very high in primary school. So even if we take 4th and 5th class students, it's okay. It is at par with the 6th standard of schools elsewhere. So for the first batch only, we had to make arrangement like this and have classes in the primary school only, adjusting all the girls. In the evening, Swami had permitted, yes, after the school hours, you can come for darshan. A block was given to us where B.Ed girls and we teachers would sit with them. And evening, Swami would come to our group and ask me, how are they doing? How are the girls teaching? And I would tell him, Swami, girls are working very hard. They are doing their best. He said, yes, I know they are doing their best. But you see, you tell your girls to give examples like I give. You have seen in my talk, in my discourses, I talk about kerchief, I talk about tumbler, I talk about simple things. So you tell girls to give simple examples and explain to the students. Then suddenly he asked me, he said, see, when a child is crying, what does the mother do? The mother bends down to pick up the child. Now, when the mother bends down, the mother doesn't think that she's becoming low. So similarly, tell the girls, if they come down to the level of the students, they should come down to that level. See that all the students understand, and then proceed with giving simple day-to-day examples to them. And all this he would talk to me in darshan line, in front of the students. I'm sitting there with me, whatever block was given to us, students are also there. They could also hear what Swami is saying. And this is how day-to-day guidance, whatever we have taught that day in the morning, or how the teaching has gone, that he would either ask me or he would give me a hint that this is how the girls should go about. That also again shows his omnipresence, because we are thinking Swami is in Mandir. But how the classes the girls are taking, how they are teaching, he knows. That's why in the evening he would come and give me a hint or guidance that this way it could be done, this way it could be done. They are doing good, they are working hard, I know that. But tell them these are the ways in which a teacher can teach in a better way. In one of the interviews, Swami suddenly asked a question. He said, how many types of teachers? And I don't know about others. Others means all the girls. I started counting Hindi teacher, maths teacher, chemistry teacher, and then I realized that there are so many subjects, so many teachers. How to my counting was, and Swami read my mind. He knew what is going on. Then Swami looked at me and he said, "You don't answer." He gave the impression to the girls that I know the answer. And so he said, "You don't answer." "Yes, girls, tell me how many types of teachers." So even the girls couldn't answer. I mean, they were just quiet because nobody was sure what to say. And here I am still, in spite of Swami telling me, "You don't tell," I was still counting on my fingers how many types of teachers are there, because I thought, depending on the subjects, teachers are that many teachers. Then Swami said, there are 3 types of teachers. So when he said 3 types of teachers, and then he looked at all of us, and then he said, "See, the first one is complaining teacher. Complaining teacher, always complaining, this is not there, management is not good, salary is not there, no free period, nothing, only cribbing, only finding fault. Not good at all," he said. That is complaining teacher. Second teacher is little better. Second teacher is explaining teacher. At least explaining teacher is explaining, doing her work, teaching. But you know why I have started this B.Ed program? I have started this B.Ed program because I want all my students who undergo this B.Ed program to be inspiring teachers. So the third type of teacher is inspiring teachers. So all of you should be inspiring teachers, not like the first 2. It was then that I realized, I said, oh my God, so many teachers. I am thinking from subject point of view, and here Swami is talking about teachers as per the quality, the way they conduct themselves, the way they teach, not only in terms of teaching, but when he mentions about inspiring teachers, it is your personality, how you should mold the behavior of the child right from the beginning. And he also said, why have I opened it only for girls? Because girls or lady teachers have more patience. They have more of motherly love, more compassion. So for the earlier period, up to say 6th or 7th standard, lady teachers only should teach children in school. Once the boys come up to the adolescent period, then they should be taken care by the male teachers because they need firmness. And all this is so that their character is channelized properly and formed. So that is why I have started this B.Ed program, not to add to the number of colleges which are already existing. This is only with the purpose that those who pass out from here, from this institution, they should all be inspiring teachers. And this he had been telling us in the various interviews that he gave to different batches. Because Swami was very, very particular, very happy that this B.Ed program has started, because for him teachers were very important. Teachers are the ones who mold the future of the country. So that is the reason why he said he was taking so much of care. Every day he would ask, those 15 days that we were here for the practice teaching sessions, Swami would almost every day speak to me or generally even to the students, ask something, and he would give us interview. We would, of course, definitely pray and plead to Bhagwan, please interview. So sometimes certain batches he has given interview in the first semester as well as in the second semester, whereas in some batches he has given only one time, that is either in the first semester or in the second semester when the B.Ed program was of a 1-year course. And again he would guide the girls, because 1 year course, suppose if he had given us the interview in the second semester and it is time for the girls to write their exams and leave, he would again tell them same thing: listen to your parents, obey your parents. If they want you to get married, get married. Some girls would ask him, Swami, what should I do? He would say, okay, you do higher studies, you do your post graduation in your whatever subject you want to. One day it so happened, Swami came to me and he said, girls, educare padhata, are they teaching educare? Educare is to bring out the best in a child. How can this be done? You have to teach in such a way that you just don't just lecture, but you try to find out, question the students and elicit answers from them, elicit good responses from them. And depending on the responses, you give your whatever answer you need to give or whatever value you need to tell them at that time. So for everything, whatever you are teaching, see that your lessons are interspersed with values. So our B.Ed program became unique because we had checked the lesson plans of the girls to see that they have integrated value in it. And that value should be integrated seamlessly. It's not at the end of the lesson that you say that, okay, in today's class we have learned this value. No. While teaching, seamlessly telling them in a very casual matter of way about a value and then continuing with your content that you are teaching. So that is how every lesson was checked by us teachers and corrected. Girls, if the value was not relevant, I would tell them that no, this is not the appropriate value. You can think in on other ways or other terms and then write it. Or I would tell them that this would be a better value which you can integrate for that level of students. If you're going to a 6th standard, we can't talk about Satya, truth of philosophical level, but we have to come down to their level and give them examples accordingly. So this is how Swami showed his concern, because he really wanted the girls who would pass out to be inspiring teachers. In one of the interviews, one student asked Swami, how do we take care of our ego? Because in that particular interview, Swami was mentioning about ego, people have a lot of ego, or he was explaining. And then she said, Swami, how do we control our ego? How do we take care of our ego? Swami said, very simple, very simple. You see, this vast universe, where is India? Where is Karnataka? Where is Prashanti Nilayam? And in that, where are you? You are just a speck. So when you are just a speck in this vast universe, where is the question of ego? So you must remind yourself that you are just a speck. You are nothing. And when you think like this, remind yourself like this, you will be able to take care of your ego. That ego will slowly go, or maybe it will reduce a little, or you can control it in this way. This is what he said. In one interview, Swami was explaining how a woman should conduct herself. Very seriously, this particular part he was explaining very seriously, that here you are safe. Once you go out into the world, you should know how you have to conduct yourself. So in public places, laughing loudly, talking loudly, this is not befitting ladies. You should talk softly, talk nicely. And it so happened that I told Swami, I said, Swami, even if we don't do anything wrong, people unnecessarily talk. Swami said, yes. See, if you are not doing anything wrong, I will be on your side. Let the whole world be on the other side. This was one surety which Bhagwan personally gave to me when I told him that people have the habit of talking. And some people just gossip for the sake of gossiping. And he was also very particular about this marriage point. He said, you girls have to get married. They have to go to the boy's family. And he also told them, if you want your marriage to be successful, suppose your husband comes late. As soon as he comes, don't start asking him questions. Where were you? Why are you late? Why you didn't inform me? All these things, no. You should hold a glass of water. Take a glass of water, give it to your husband, let him drink, let him settle down. Then slowly you can ask him, how come, what happened, why are you late today? Nicely. And similarly, when someone says something to your mother, how do you feel? And if you say something to your husband's mother, how will he feel? That is why I'm saying, don't call her mother in law, call her mother in love. If you love her, for some time, even if she doesn't respond back, love you, but a time will come when she will feel that my daughter in law is so good, she's treating me like a mother, so she will also start treating you like a daughter. So these type of how a mother actually guides her own daughter when she is ready to get married and go to a different family, in the same way, in the interview room, Swami had explained this in general to all the girls, how they should conduct themselves once they get married. And he said, bring a good name not only to yourself, but to me and to the institution. They should not say, oh, Satya Sai College girls are like that, like this. No, bring a good name to the institution, to your family, to yourself, and to Bhagwan. Bhagwan last. He even said this, Bhagwan last. But first to yourself, your family, your institution, they should be happy that Satya Sai Institute girls are very good. We want them as our daughter-in-laws. So these type of guidance was also given by Bhagwan to various batches of girls whom interview was given. During practice teaching, uh, we would always pray to Bhagwan for interview every time we came. So during one particular batch, Swami gave a hint. Sham ko baat karta, I will talk to you in the evening, he said. Normally, when we know that Swami is going to call us for an interview, we would take photographs of Bhagwan for his autograph or signature. So I had come to the stores to take Bhagwan's photographs. And that particular day, there were photographs of Bhagwan all in white robe. Not a single photograph in orange robe was there. So I selected two such pictures for myself. And I had also selected one poster from outside market of Hanumanji. It was a very nice photograph of Hanuman where every part of the body is covered with Ram, 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 Ram is written, and he's holding the Sanjeevani mountain in his hand, flying pose. And I really liked that picture of Hanumanji, and at that poster I bought from outside market, and I had kept that also ready, that when Bhagwan calls us for interview, I will give this to Bhagwan for his signature. So Swami called us for interview. We were inside. Again, as usual, girls had some questions. Some girls had personal questions related to their family, health issues and all that. And in general, again, Swami asked about classes, how you are teaching, how are you finding the course. And then we started showing Bhagwan the photographs. So when I showed first photograph and I gave the pen to Swami. When I gave that pen to Swami and he opened it, that pen has got a typical spirit smell, the permanent marker pen. And Swami, he made his face like this and he said, what is this? I said, Swami, permanent marker pen. He said, hey, he looked, sternly at me, and I was fully shaken to the core the way he looked at me. And then he said, who is permanent? And I was with folded hand. I said, Swami, Swami. He said, yes, what is in this hand? I said, Swami, everything. Yes, everything. Then after some time, I mustered all my courage to tell Swami, Swami, on the pen it is written permanent marker pen. So I told him, Swami, name of the pen is permanent marker pen. But then in that short time and with that sternness, he made me understand that these things are not permanent. Who is permanent? God alone is permanent. And then he took some other pen because he couldn't bear that strong smell of that spirit smell which was coming out of the pen, and he wrote with love, with blessings. And then when I gave the second photograph of Swami, he said, why have you taken both in white robe? I said, Swami, there was no stock of orange robe photograph, and so I like these two and I have got. But he signed on both, and he also signed on the same poster of Hanumanji with love. In one, he has written with blessings, and in the other two, he has written with love. He has signed it, and then he started signing the photographs of the students who had taken and other such things. But what I'm trying to say is, the way Swami tried to make me understand that these things are not permanent. God alone is permanent. So this is one incident which, in that context, he spoke something very profound and which I could immediately take in. I could understand that, yes. But though I tried to give Bhagwan a reason saying that I said permanent pen because it is written on it. That is his way of letting us know in small, small ways the actual truths of life. I had personally seen Swami for the first time in the physical form in 1972 when we had come for the South tour with the family. And then afterwards, whenever my sister would come, not often because I was still studying, once or twice I have come along with my sister. Those days, there were no direct trains. From Odisha, we had to come up to Gudur. From Gudur to Renikunta to Tirupati, and then from Tirupati there was this train which would start in the evening and reach somewhere around 10:30 Dharmavaram. And the last bus from Dharmavaram to Puttaparthi was between 10 to 11. So if the train is late, we would miss and had to stay the night on the station only, and then next day early morning take the bus. So like this, once or twice I had come with my sister, and we used to, those days all these buildings were not there, and we have even slept under the tree. Now where that Ram Lakshman Hanumanji temple is there, there used to be one tree over there. And I remember I have slept under that tree also. And then South building, South 1, the passage is there, shops used to be in front, and the wall of the shop and the half of the passage, we had covered it with a stake and a bed sheet. And I remember me and my parents had put our luggage over there, and we have even spent time there also, because there were not these many rooms and buildings over here. So once I was pursuing my studies, I had completed my MA English Literature, and I was side by side preparing for IAS. And after I think I had given my preliminary exams, and I had come to seek Bhagwan's blessings. It so happened I sat in darshan line, and luckily I had got the front row. I had written on a piece of paper IAS. I thought if I am not able to speak to Swami, I will show it. So when Swami came, I showed, I said, Swami, IAS diya hai. I have given IAS exam. Swami took the paper from my hand. He just turned it and he said, SAI, Sai, and he gave back the paper to me, and Swami walked. I didn't know what it meant. I mean, it was, I had come for blessings, and I didn't get a chance again to ask in darshan line about it. But then very soon, I think my parents had also come, and along with my parents, I got an interview. One thing which I now realize is my mother was very pious, and every time my parents came to Parthi, Swami called them for an interview. Sometimes immediately the very next day, and sometimes after a week or after 10 days time. And that was the time when I would call them to come to Prashanti Nilayam when I was here for the practice teaching sessions. Because Anantapur, there was no such accommodation for the parents to stay with you. So Swami had given us interview, and in the interview room I again asked Swami, because there I got chance to talk to Swami. I said, Swami, I have given IAS prelims and I seek your blessings for the main exams. Then Swami told me, he said, no IAS, because so many things happen. Politicians are there, they take undue advantage, and it's not good. Sigh. And then he switched over to my parents. He was talking to them. My parents were talking about my elder sister's marriage and all that. That discussion, it moved to that. So again, I mean, I was not very sure what Swami meant by saying Sai, S-A-I. It's much later when I was asked by Bhagwan in my very first interview, which I mean, I had mentioned earlier that I had told the Vice Chancellor, the then Vice Chancellor, Professor S.N. Saraf, that I am already in a government job and I will join only if Bhagwan tells me. So in the interview room also, when I spoke to Swami about his blessings for my completing the main exams of the IAS, Swami again said, no IAS, SAI. And it's much later when Swami asked me to resign and come that I understood what exactly he meant. He wanted me to come and join his institution. When I joined his institution, I think I was only 28, 29 years old. And I remember the very first batch, there were two girls. Swami said, I am going to send some girls with you. You set up the building. I'll be coming to Vrindavan and then I will see to the settlement of everything. So what happened? One of these girls came to Vrindavan. She got an interview with her family, and it seems Swami told her, you go join the B.Ed course. I have selected a very nice teacher for you, and she's very loving and affectionate. What more Swami might have told her, I don't know. But to me, she said this. So when she came there, after a week's time, till when we had this rapport, because I was new to the girls were new to me. At that time, she told me, she says, ma'am, you know what Swami spoke about you? I said, what? No, he was praising you a lot, and he said, go and join B.Ed program. You will be very happy. I have selected a very nice teacher for you. Then it so happened that after few months, in the corridor, I just saw another girl sitting very sad, and in fact, she was crying. I went near her, I asked her, I said, what happened? Is there any problem? First, she didn't say anything. Then she said, no, madam. I said, see, unless you tell me, how will I know what is your problem and how can I help you? Then she just hugged me and she said, ma'am, you're so nice. I said, so, okay, I'm nice, but you tell me, why are you crying? She says, I'm crying because you're so nice. You're so different from all the other teachers. And Swami, to her also, Swami had given interview with her family. And Swami had told her, go, you will be very happy in Whitefield. I have a very good teacher selected for you. And so this was a second sort of certification that maybe I got from Bhagwan. And it so happened after a few years when we were coming here in one of the batches, while the interview was going on, after some time Swami told me, go to the inner room and get that basin of, I think they were apples, fruits, he said, as prasad to be given to the girls. So as I went inside that room, immediately Swami told all the girls, you know why I have brought her here? I have brought her here because a woman has got 9 qualities and she has 7 out of 9. That is why I have brought her here. And when I came, Swami was again quiet. He changed the topic. He started talking something else. He didn't praise me in front of me, but when I went to the other room, he told the girls about me like this. So what happened, I had made it a point that after every interview that we got, we would sit together in the dormitory that was allotted to us in Prashanti Nilayam, and I would ask the girls to write down what all Swami had spoken to us, main points. And each one of them, whatever they could recollect, they would make a note of it. And it was then that the girls told me, one of them told me, ma'am, you know what? Swami was very softly telling about you. I said, what? He said that you have got 7 qualities. Ladies have 9 qualities, you have 7. That is why he has brought you here. And I said, what is this? You should have told me there. At least I could have asked Bhagwan which 2 are lacking in me so that I can work on it. And I never got a chance to ask Bhagwan on this topic. He never gave me that opportunity to ask him that, Swami, which 2 qualities are lacking in me, which I need to work upon so that I have all the 9 qualities in me too. So Bhagwan, through these students, he made me feel that yes, I am fit for this responsibility that he has given me of bringing up the B.Ed department. Similarly, when Swami had asked us to shift to Prashanti Nilayam during the summer vacation, when he said he won't be there and it is not safe for the girls to be in Vrindavan alone, at that time Bhagwan had sent message to the warden auntie and Muni Didi that they can come and meet Swami there, see Swami or have his darshan. And I think they must have mentioned that, Swami, how can we just leave and come like this? And at that point, Swami again told them that no, she is very good. She can take the responsibility of the whole primary school building also. So you can leave everything on her and come for darshan, because they had asked Swami for permission to come to Vrindavan to have his darshan before he left for Uti. So then warden auntie herself told me, Mrs. Bell, she says, Madhu, Swami was mentioning like this, that you can trust her and leave everything on her and you can come for darshan. 3 of you can come together, because their fear was that if 3 of them go and we are all students and young teacher, how will I manage? But Bhagwan told them that no, you can leave everything on her and come. So that was another, again, a certification, if I can use that word, which I got from Bhagwan through different sources. Got to know that this is what Swami has mentioned, or has so much of trust in me that I can take up this responsibility, or whatever responsibility is given to me. And in the very first interview, he had told me, I'm making you warden. You will do that work? You will take up that responsibility? And I said, yes, Swami, I will do it. So he has made me do all this. And now I am able to recall, in one of the family interviews, there was proposal for elder sister whose marriage finally Swami performed, and after that there was proposal for my younger sister. And in the interview room, my mother told Swami, she said, Swami, how can we marry the younger one when the elder one is there, pointing towards me? And it is then that Swami said, you don't worry about her. I will take full responsibility. I will perform her grand marriage. You perform the marriage of her and go ahead with her marriage. Regarding her, you don't worry. She is my responsibility. I will perform her grand marriage. Now when I look back and think of it, it's not that I am married, but yes, I think he has married me to his institution. 40 long years I have served Bhagwan, and I can still, I have the strength and stamina with his grace. I can still continue to teach. Maybe this whole thing is what Bhagwan meant as Sai, as being with him, and he is taking care of me, and he is taking care, because I did have some health issues, and Swami personally took care. When I spoke to Dr. Alreja that this is the report, this is my report, and he showed the report to Swami. So Swami, before telling me anything, Swami told Dr. Alreja to speak to Dr. Hegde in Whitefield General Hospital, made all arrangements, and then in Darshan line he came to me and he said, don't worry, call your parents. I have made all arrangements. It's a small operation, very small. Nothing will happen. but actually it was a major operation, and Swami made it very small. In Darshan line, when my parents came, he went to the gent side and he created lot of vibhuti and gave it to my father also. And he said, "Don't worry, she will be all right. It's a small thing, just a small thing." So personally, he saw that all arrangements are done in Whitefield Hospital. He didn't let me undergo the surgery here, but my first surgery, he made all arrangements in the Whitefield Hospital, and there I was operated. And he made it very clear that the operation will be done by Dr. Hegde only. And to me, he said, he's a very good doctor. He is very fine hand. He will do everything. So you don't worry. And that is how he took care of me for the very first operation that I had to undergo. There was a cyst, and that cyst had to be removed, which was as big as a tender coconut. So it was a, front incision cut was there. Swami, in a very simple way, everything happened in a very, fine way. I was all right. I came back. I joined duty. And then again, I had one more lump on my back. And I had written letter to Swami saying that, "Swami, it is like this." Then for that also, Swami read my letter, and those days Chakravarti sir was the secretary of the ashram. So he asked him to call me and tell me that arrangement has been done and I can choose a date and come for the operation. So I was taking class when I received a phone call from the secretary's secretary, and he told me, "Madam, Chakravarti sir wants to speak to you." So I came out of the class, I spoke to sir. He said, "See, you have written a letter to Swami, you have some problem with the health?" I said, "Yes, sir." "Well, Swami has spoken to Dr. Reddy. You know Dr. Reddy? He sits near the pillar. Everything has been done. So whichever date is convenient to you, you come and talk to the doctor and fix up the date." So what I'm trying to say is how Swami, he promised my parents not to worry about me. He'll take care of me. And everything, every minute thing he has taken care of from the health point of view, when I should get operated, when it should not be done, because earlier Swami told me that no need to get operated. So in one of the B.Ed interviews, I spoke to Swami saying that, "Swami, there is a lipoma at my back and it is growing in size, what I should do?" Swami said, no, it is nothing. You just apply turmeric and a paste, he said, you apply that, with that slowly it will subside. But it was not happening. It was growing in size. And so I had again written a letter to Swami. "Swami, I have tried for 2 months, whatever you had asked me to do, but it is growing in size." It is then that Swami read the full letter. He spoke to Dr. Reddy, and then he told Chakravarti sir that you inform her about this. And then my operation was done in the super speciality here. And everything was done so quietly, like there was no need for me even to tell my family members, because they are in Odisha. So my younger sister is stationed in Bangalore. So I would call her and tell her that this is it. You have to be here because some family member has to be there. And so she would come and be with me for a week's time till I am discharged from the hospital. So this is how Swami has personally taken care of me at every step of my journey in the institution and my stay here with Bhagwan.
ॐ जय जगदीश हरे स्वामी सत्य साई हरे भक्तजना संरक्षक भक्तजना संरक्षक भक्ति महेश्वरा ॐ जय जगदीश हरे शशिवदना श्रीकरा सर्वा प्राणपते स्वामी सर्वा प्राणपते समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय।
ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात्। 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 ॐ